Hello, hello, here we are.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Overdose and Chill. I'm Daniel, Managing Director EMEA for Overdose, and I'm really proud to have today a very, very special guest. Hi, Thomas. It's nice to see you again after so long. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, so everything is good. And thanks for having me today. I'm also very proud to join this session today, and yeah, really excited.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. For the audience out there, some organizational information. So we are now live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So feel free to drop a comment or a question for Thomas in the comment section, which I would address to Thomas directly. So feel free to do that. And I would say, let's start. Hi, Thomas. Um, would you do me a favor and
Yeah,
introduce yourself, maybe?
yeah, I'm happy to do that. So my name is Thomas. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Frontastic. In the e-commerce space for almost 20 years now. So started with the e-commerce market in Germany, I would say. Founded my first company 2005, so some years ago already. To that time, we really developed e-commerce business models for retailers and brands, and then not only built the online stores, but also managed to run these stores and build it up for a couple of years, because to that time the companies wanted to outsource everything. So that was a great business model for us, and it changed over time. So my first company got more and more, let's say, a system integrator agency business, and then I decided 4 years ago to sell my shares to that company and start again a new company with Frontastic. So I do this now, or we do this. It's not only me alone, but meanwhile 40 people for 4 years now. But it's again e-commerce. So e-commerce is my life, you can say.
Oh, that's so cool. Yesterday I had a chat with some colleagues, and it feels like I am always the grandpa within a conversation with almost 15 years e-commerce experience. But thank you very much, Thomas. You are you're more
Yeah.
e-commerce grandpa than I am.
Yeah.
Uh, it's very,
And
very
thanks to
cool.
my good camera setup, if you would see me in real, I would really look like the grandpa, I guess.
Oh yeah, your setup is legendary. So it's way better than my MacBook camera over here.
No,
So
it's
yeah,
fine.
Thomas, can you give the audience an overview about what Frontastic is? Because I'm pretty sure not everyone is familiar with Frontastic so far.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. So in one sentence, we say we are a commerce front-end platform. So what we do is we enable especially brands to build compelling commerce experience on top of headless. So in my experience in the last years, I really believe in this concept of composable commerce and headless. So where you really have different software vendors, specialists for different categories. And what we do is we offer the software solution for the front end itself, and for the, let's say, for the commerce teams, that they can create really great experiences in combination with other systems like headless CMS, headless e-commerce systems, search solutions, etc. And we are the solution that is, let's say, at the forefront, so closest to the customer. And we so let's say what we want to do is to really try to reduce this immense complexity that is out there, and make it easier for the brands to be very flexible, to create unique experiences, but without needing hundreds of developers, but really in a more easy way. Yeah, that is something that we want to change in a headless world, because that's still a very technical world, and we strive for bringing business first back to headless.
Okay, sounds very cool. Then I have to ask a question. What was your motivation to sell your shares within your
Yeah.
previous company, and how did you came to the idea to found or to create a product like Frontastic?
Good question. So basically, I was always, let's say, the guy in the middle. So between developers and marketeers, that was always my role, and to try to bring them in the connection and to talk to each other. Because I mean, I don't know how you see it, but marketing people and engineers, that are two completely different worlds. And
oh, indeed.
Right.
Indeed.
Yeah. So that was really my last 20 years and my life. And it was always that you need, if you want to create a really great, outstanding experience, then you need developers and you need development power. But it is very, very a technical thing. So around 5 years ago, I would say, or 6 years ago, in my last company, we were one of the first commerce tools partners, and commerce tools is a good example for a headless e-commerce system or composable commerce e-commerce system. So they do not offer any front end at all. So they really concentrate on the e-commerce processes and the APIs, and then the companies can do with these APIs whatever they want to do. And with my last company, we were one of the first partners and built projects based on commerce tools. And from the early days, I was really a fan of this kind of architecture because with these, even 5 years ago, with the monolithic systems, you struggled when it was about really scaling, doing building very unique experiences. So it was always a problem for the development people, for the business people. It was a problem, and API first, that helped already really to, let's say, to have one platform that focus on the backend processes, and then you have an independent customer solution for the front end. So we were one of the first partners, and then there was one moment where one team of my company built a customer project. I think it was 500 person days or something on top of, that's a lot. And they showed me very proudly the result. So after, I don't know what it was, 4 months, 5 months or so, they showed the result, the project. And I sat there and thought for myself, okay, that's a very basic stuff. After 500 person days to get this result, I mean, headless is great, but something is wrong. Something is not working here. So, and then with my background of really knowing a bit how everything comes together with business people like product owners and developers, etc., I thought, okay, there's some platform missing. So it can't be the right way to build everything in the front end every time from zero. Because if you see the results, I would say 80%, even if you differentiate, 80% is very similar, right? So, but you buy it again, you create it again and again, build it again and again. And that was the starting to think, okay, I believe in headless. I think this will really be a major trend and get successful. So if this is true, if this thesis is true, then there's a need in the market, or there will be the need in the market for a platform that is business first for headless and really puts the experience in the foreground, and gives companies a chance to use the advantages of headless that are not Amazon or the really big tech DNA driven companies. And then after thinking a couple of months and talking to my co-founders, or then future co-founders, we decided, okay, we do this. And then I decided to start Frontastic and sell my shares from the other company.
Well, that's a cool story and a cool journey. You mentioned a few, I would say, buzzwords like API first, headless.
Yeah, true.
Maybe I heard PWA. I'm not sure, but I know we are talking here also about PWA.
I didn't tell about that. Yes.
Do you, for what kind of clients or for what kind of merchant or brand is Frontastic made?
Yeah. So I always say we are not the right software. We are not the right platform. If you just want to build a standard online shop, then you don't need Frontastic. So just go with Shopify or another solution that offers everything in a box. Then you don't need Frontastic. If you really want to differentiate, so means if you not only one time want to build an online store or shop, but really if you believe in your e-commerce business more like a digital product, which means you start with a version and then you iterate and you want to make it constantly better. So to reach better business goals and increase the conversion and really increase your business, then we are the right solution with a decision made that you decided, okay, we want to go a, let's say, decoupled way. Sorry for the next buzzword, but no, not sure if decoupled is not a buzzword, right? So if you really believe that you need specialized tools, different specialized tools, because that brings you in the advantage to build the better customer experience, and then we can be a solution for these kind of projects.
Okay, very cool. There are, of course, some competitors out there for Frontastic.
And that's good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to have a competitive market, especially for the end user. But what are the USPs from your perspective from Frontastic?
Yeah. So first of all, I think if we really see now or let me start differently. We have two go-to-market motions with customers that select Frontastic. One go-to-market motion is what we call from backend to front end. So that are companies that decided actively, okay, they want to change or get rid of their monolithic system. And then they decide, okay, they want to go again API first or headless. And then they decide to pick a new backend solution. So for example, commerce tools. They actively decide, okay, we go with commerce tools, API first. And then they, after this decision is made, they evaluate the market and have a look, how can they build the front end? And then you find typically, I would say, 3 categories or 3 possibilities to do this. So the first is you can then build everything from scratch. So really means self-build from zero. You build everything. Maybe you use some kind of open source tools, but it's a very much developer-driven project. So that is one option. The other one is you decide for a developer-driven front-end service. So there are some competitive alternatives on the market beside Frontastic that have a very big focus only on the front-end developer. And this is a way you can go as a company. If it's a very technical-driven project, you select a front-end platform that concentrates on the front-end developer and gives these kind of people the possibility not to build everything from zero, but it is focused completely on the developer. What we do differently is we say, and that's very much, let's say, corresponding to our vision. Our vision says we are a business first, a business-driven platform. So not a developer-centric platform, but a business-driven platform, which means that for us, our big purpose is that commerce teams can really build incredible things. And you can only do this when you offer a tool that is, on the one hand, great for developers, but on the other hand, also gives business people more autonomy so that they don't have to rely on the developers in the day-to-day business. And this is what we are doing. So we add, beside a great developer experience, we added tooling for business people where they can use all the things the developers created in a, let's say, no-code environment, and then easily can really create experiences, publish it, check it, make it better from day to day, without needing developers. So that is really our USP, I would say. And you don't find so many competitors that position themselves business first. There are some on the market. What we, when you compare us to those players, I would say we started from the beginning with a very enterprise mindset. So you can build really complex business models with Frontastic. So it's not only for the super small, simple online store, but really for more complex models. For example, Chronext is one customer of ours. You can buy watches, you can also sell watches. So it's not only a classical online store, right? We have companies like Apollo. It's a very large glasses retailer here in Germany, omni-channel. It's integrated with brick and mortar stores, etc. This is something that you can really easily build with Frontastic. And we are multi-platform. So we don't care which backend is integrated to Frontastic. So you can use us with just a couple of examples. You can use us with commerce tools. You can use us with Shopify in the backend. You can add another headless CMS like Contentful or Graph CMS, and we combine, or we are the glue for these systems, and then giving the power to the digital teams. So yeah, that is, I would say, what makes us unique.
Very, very interesting. Thank you very much for it. After you founded Frontastic a few years ago, you grew pretty fast, and especially internationally. So from my personal perspective, you were one of not many companies founded in Germany who was from day one specialized on being international. Just to give you an example, and that's very untypical for a German company.
Okay.
You just went out with an English-speaking website.
True. We never had. I think we never had a German, right? Or maybe it's the early days, but I don't think so.
I don't know that. So for
Yeah.
you, for me, Frontastic was always internationally focused. I know we are doing now some projects in, for example, in Australia together. But when I am informed correctly, you also founded an entity in the United States. So can you give us a little overview about your plans to go international? What were your experiences so far? Challenges, maybe? I guess there were challenges, or there are challenges.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe you can give us a little overview about that.
Yeah, sure. I can do that. So, I mean, maybe one thing to emphasize: it's nothing. It's nothing differentiating anymore. But we started the company 4 years ago as a fully distributed company. So that was before COVID and Corona. We decided, okay, no, we don't want to have a headquarter in this sense, but really make it build a fully distributed company. And I think this was, of course, already a different mindset we started the company with, because from the beginning we don't needed to care about we want really a diverse team, and we started hiring people. We concentrated on one time zone, but we hired across Europe from the early days. So in our company we never spoke only German language but English from day one. And I think normally in Germany, when you start a company, you start with German language, right? And then at some point you have to switch to another to English. We spoke English from day one. And then, I mean, what we build, especially in the front end, of course there are differences when you see it in different countries. But it's a different thing, like building an order management system or some payment system or so, right? So our software works basically no matter if it's in the US or in Australia or in Germany. So with this in mind, we do believe that, of course, today this paradigm shift to headless is still a niche market, right? So it's still for really not for all use cases. It's for a couple of use cases, and if you target this as a company, then it's important to really target this not only to one country, but make it accessible from basically all countries. I mean, we don't handle China right now, but the other countries are no problem. Nevertheless, there are challenges, definitely and sure. So, I mean, for us, what we discovered in the, let's say, in the last 18 months, I would say, is companies that decide to switch to an API first or headless approach are typically companies that have developer resources in-house in many cases. And these type of companies, they want to try out the software, right? They don't want to have a salesperson that is showing it and then the developers have to listen and to watch, but they wanna try it out. And we started very much really with a business people in mind. That was our focus point. And for roughly a year now, we set a big focus on developer experience and are on our way to offer we call it self-service enterprise trial, that you really can easily test Frontastic without needing us. It's a self-service sign-up experience, and then you can test it. You can build your proof of concept on top of this, and this is not released yet. And this is definitely something I believe in, which really will give us even more traction internationally, because then development teams, e-commerce teams can just try out Frontastic, and then after some point they get in contact with us. So that is one example. But I mean, startup is always learning, right? It's really a lot learning and see what is not working and then to adapt and make it better. And we had a lot, I can assure you, a lot of these learnings and try to get constantly better.
I absolutely believe in that. The thing what I guess I've never told you before, but when I started last year at Overdose here in EMEA as a first European, I thought about, hey, how should we build and organize the team here? And I'm coming a little bit back to the remote only team you have built up. And you were some kind of role model, to be honest, for me, cool. In case of this is possible. And especially now, last year, we were in the middle of COVID. No one had an idea where this led us and stuff like that. But basically, you were a kind of role model for me or a proof of concept that this can work. But you started with that long before COVID. So how was it in the time until COVID? Because now everyone understands, that is, or knows that is possible. But in the first years, it must be a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. I think what really helped, and this is not going to me, but to my co-founders. So on the one hand, two of my co-founders, Ko and Toby, are very deeply connected and experienced in working with open source software. And when you do this, when you develop open source software, it was always distributed, right? So people from all over the world work on the software, and they had this experience. And the heart of our remote DNA, I would say, from the beginning, that is my co-founder Henning, who brought a lot of energy inside this from the early days. And I still can remember that it was our first retreat. We were only founders, no employees so far. And then we discussed in the evening how we want to do it and if we want to do it. And to that time, it was still an idea to have some kind of office as an harbor where you can go and so like you see it today with some companies. But then we said, no, we do this really purely remote. And I think that was the key for us, that we don't have any kind of hybrid model, but really every person really sits in the home office or in a shared office, whatever, but in the office, and then we communicate via Zoom, Slack, and other tools. And with our plan, COVID destroyed that a little bit. Our plan still to see us each other in person for at least 4 or 5 times a year, right? With a 5-day retreat with all people, all hands retreat. But then already COVID came in. But I mean, basically, if you build up a company, then no matter which kind of organization model you choose, you will have challenges. No matter if you have an office or if you don't have an office, you have you have problems anyway, right? So the chance is, and that was, I wouldn't say it was easy for us, but the chance, of course, was that we could start the remote native DNA from day one. And with that, you hire the first people that actively decide that they want to work remote in a remote native company, not in a company that also has an office, but really has no office. So then the company starts. Then it was super important for us to, from early days, to define values where we can count on, because you need to write down a lot of things, but you can overstretch it. So having good core values that are differentiating, that was for us definitely an important thing. And then it's, as always, constant learning and improving and making it better, and try to see where are our learnings from the last 3 months and what can we do and how can we make it better. And this doing constantly, that led to our company culture and organization, what it is today.
Very cool to hear. I guess we are doing here, especially in the OD DACH team, the same experiences. Now, after half year having a team fully remote, no office, it's exciting.
What's your experience? What's your experience? Is it more challenging than you thought it is, or?
I would say the benefits are or the advantages are higher, because I don't have to force someone to move to Berlin, for example, or somewhere else. So our team is on many different locations, or is living on many different locations, and that makes for us easier to find new people, of course. On the other end, challenges are there. With, as you mentioned, it is so important to get in person together and to have some kind of happenings, events, or whatever. Team building over Zoom, in my opinion, it's quite difficult. But that's why it's so important to come together. And if you, or when you know that, you can deal with it. And I guess the advantages are higher than going back to a old-fashioned office style, in my opinion.
I see it similar. What stayed with our, I mean, we can go to another topic, but it's really interesting. For me, what stayed for us, it's a very simple thing, is that for us we have a tool. Basically, we have a story of the day. So each people can, if something, it's not required to do this, but if a day really has a highlight or a totally low light, whatever it is, then just post it. So that is a very easy thing. And that helps people to see what happened, and beside the really normal daily topics. So that is something that's great. And then we have a weekly report where really we, based on our values, we define 5 questions based on our values. And then each week, and that's required, you answer these questions with the week result. And we started this very early in the company history. But it's still really a great tool where the people can read it and see, okay, what about the others? Not only in each team, but if they're interested, also, of course, in other teams.
That's I have to make some notes. Maybe that could help me.
You can watch again.
Yeah, that's a really interesting topic, to be honest. I guess for many people out there, because that's the new work, the so-called new kind of work, where many companies were forced because of COVID to go into or to jump into. But yeah, I guess this is a thing or a topic which we will still talk about the best way or best practices still in a few years. So
definitely.
Absolutely, but very interesting topic. I have another thing. I now, or let me guess. I don't know. Maybe since a year, I'm reading a lot, especially on LinkedIn, about the so-called Mach lines. And you are part of it. Could you please give us a brief overview about what is the Mach Alliance, what it stands for, and has it something to do with a best of breed approach or stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, best of breed is the old word, right?
Okay. As mentioned,
yeah,
e-commerce grandpa sometimes.
Yeah, I also still know best of breed. Yeah, so yeah, we are one of the founding members of the Mach Alliance, and the Mach Alliance is really the collective of software vendors and system integrators that have a focus on API first, so that really see this composable commerce world and create software and solutions for this. And so it is really a lot about market education and thought leadership, of course, and about the benefits and when it makes sense to choose this approach, and also when it doesn't make sense to choose this approach. Yeah, and this is Mach Alliance is there for not completely for a bit more than 1 year now, and it's growing. So it started with, for example, key members at the beginning were Content Stack and Commerce Tools, and meanwhile you find other vendors like Contentful, Agolia, Vtex as a new commerce or new member, BigCommerce. So it gets more and more attention, I would say.
Okay, so this sounds very interesting. Very mature companies you mentioned.
Yeah.
Well,
there are also other more younger startups like Frontastic in it. So it's not only but I mean, of course, these kind of companies and the API first trend, that is something that is ongoing for around 5 years, right? So
yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it's a question of who do you ask? What is a startup? If I ask a classic conservative German mid-sized company, there is BigCommerce still a startup in their eyes.
And e-commerce is very young topic,
and will maybe stay. Yeah, but it's a question of a perspective. So well, we already hit the 30 minutes. I would like you to ask. So you are you're working in a section where you're very future driven with a solution which is not for everyone. It is for certain type of clients, which is with a big outlook for we don't know what comes tomorrow or what could come tomorrow. But maybe you can give us a personal view on what do you think will happen in the future, what will be important, and so on.
Yeah. So I mean, what I would like to change, and we with our mission would like to change. You still think in e-commerce, especially if it's not really the easy standard online shop, then it is still a very tech-driven initiatives, right? And still the teams are thinking very much from the back end to the front end. So they start with the process, and then maybe at some point they are thinking about the front end. And if they do it, they often do it just one time, and then it's good. And my hope is that there's a chance to really change this and let us come really to a world where we really can think from the customer, from the front end, and then we go backwards and backwards to the processes. And this is my mission, my personal mission, and the company mission, that we change this game, that it's super easy to create a great experience, and then you can decide what do you need for this, and which services do you need to connect, and then just connect it, and then it's there. That's my hope, that we have a chance to really change this in the next years. And yeah, that's what we are about to do.
Sounds very, very cool. Thomas, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your insights, your thoughts, and so on. So I'm really looking forward to see you hopefully very, very soon in person again. It was way too long ago. And
we are not that far away, right? So
I don't know. Sometimes we are close, sometimes not. So where are you? Where are you right now?
Today in Berlin.
Ah, wonderful.
You too?
Me too. Yes.
Yeah, cool. Let's meet for a beer.
Yeah, let's do it. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thanks.
Have a good day. Have a good day, and regards to your colleagues.
Thank you. Bye bye, Daniel.
Bye bye.
Thank you.